Hello, everyone, and welcome to EVTN News, your source for the most recent Catholic news. Now, there's a lot of information coming in fast, and I'm going to try to bring it up here. Um, there is one late breaking news story that I will share with you at the end, and I guess we'll see what the implications are going forward. But until then, let's get started. So the first news story is that the Swiss bishops submitted a report to the Vatican on May 13th on May 13th is definitely wrong. I did do a little bit of proofreading. On that. Let me double check on that 1 second, everyone. They said May 13th. Anyway, on the local synod on synodality, I assume that's March 13th. They said synodal. Here's some quotes. There's quite a few, but take this as you will. Synodal decisions that marginalize or exclude people and their experiences, especially women, LMNOP people, and the socially disadvantaged, are contrary to the mission of the Church. Recognition of the equal baptismal dignity of men, women, and LMNOP people must be lived and witnessed in the building of a synodal church. The question of the inclusion of women in all ministries is an important issue. The exclusion of women from the priesthood is no longer understood in many places. The opening of the diaconate to women is to be welcomed when it expresses a development towards the recognition of the equal baptismal dignity of men and women in the church. A special form of diaconate for women would be seen in the Swiss context as an expression of the relegation of women, as would the gradation of the diaconate in relation to the ordained ministry. Okay, so these guys are heretics. And I call for all of them to resign who voted for this. Not that it really means anything, but I still have to call for their resignation. Just heresy. Actually, honestly, very pathetic that they would even, that they would even attempt this. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Well, okay. Yeah, I think it was March 13th, not May. The next story is the next one of the leading candidates for the next pope, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, spoke to journalists on March 16th before attending the Ramadan table iftar, a lavish meal at a luxury Rome hotel organized by the Moroccan embassy to the Holy See. So I see that during Lent, a lot of the Catholic cardinals, well, so-called Catholic cardinals, are attending the celebrations of other faiths. So, and that's pathetic as well. This is just a sad state of the church. Visitors to the Vatican News website for the Feast of St. Joseph on March 19th found an image of St. Joseph made by Father Marco Rupnik, S.J. The image is very clearly one of Rupnik's, being created in his recognizable and now notorious style. Vatican News, under the umbrella of the Vatican's Dicastery for Communication, uses Rupnik's images for a wide variety of feasts throughout the liturgical year. And as you know, Rupnik, besides being known for his ugly art, he was also known for raping nuns. And Francis, and being a friend of Francis, I mean, Francis has intervened in the Jesuits' attempts to expel him from the SJs. One of the few good things the Jesuits, I mean, it's I wouldn't even say it's good. It's just an obvious decision that needed to be done, but Francis has intervened in that legal process. Now, Kissy did say that there are a selection of judges for his case, so it's being moved along. But if Francis has anything to do with it, which I doubt he will now, um, who knows what would happen. But this is one of the numerous scandals of the Francis papacy. And also for Francis, um, he. So I don't have this on the links, but well, let me see if I do. No, I don't have this on the links of the in the description. But if you watch the video of Francis making his first public appearance in quite some time, he looked quite miserable, and his arms were incredibly restricted. Some speculated that he may have had a stroke, but that's not necessarily the case. It doesn't. It's not necessarily guaranteed that he had a stroke, but he couldn't talk very much, and he looked like he was gasping for breath. And I don't know. They say he's not on oxygen, but I don't see how he couldn't be on oxygen constantly. So they took him out for like a publicity stunt, and that may be the last we ever see of him. I don't know. I don't really know, but I know that everyone is definitely ready for the Francis Church to end, or at least those Catholics who are Catholic. They're ready for, a pope who's maybe not quite as scandalous and says and does heretical things. Speaking of the next conclave, Hong Kong Cardinal Joseph Zen wants to be in Rome for possible pre-conclave meetings, but the cardinal I just spoke about, Cardinal Parolin, wants to stop him. Will Beijing intervene? Zen had previously called Parolin a poisoned mind. Zen said Parolin himself knows he is lying because Parolin was one of the influential cardinals in the McCarrick deal. Not the McCarrick deal. McCarrick was also involved with visiting China. In the Vatican Chinese deal, Parolin was one of the influential characters in negotiating the Vatican China deal, the rotten deal. And Zen wanted no part of it. So Zen and Parolin do not like each other. Parolin really wants to be the next pope, and Cardinal Zen would probably be able to influence many of the other cardinals to vote against Parolin, which is why Parolin doesn't want Zen in Rome during the conclave, obviously. And Parolin could use his contacts in China to restrict Zen from traveling. So definitely gets the plot becomes very interesting. Oh, okay. What's the next one? Oh, okay. So as some of you have been following along, we go to Stowe's Man Woman. Comments on social media promulgated organizers in Lexington, Kentucky to postpone a parish event. It was to feature a talk by a woman who goes by the title, Brother Christian Matson, a diocesan hermit who misidentifies her gender. The comments, which were posted in a Facebook group and on the parish Facebook page of Historic St. Paul Catholic Church in Lexington, led Stan Zurkowski to conclude that the event, I guess this was the organizer, not a priest, but some random lay guy, or lay, I don't know, can't assume the gender, to conclude the event originally scheduled for March 10th in a building on the parish campus would not be safe for those attending. Zurkowski told the National Catholic Distorter that the event, which was to feature Matson talking about her life and answering questions about LMNOP issues, has been rescheduled for April 7th in the main church building. He said law enforcement officials will be present to provide security. Hermits generally live a life of seclusion, but this one has become a celebrity within the heretical Catholic media. So that's kind of that in that regard. And there are stories that I have not posted here, but I do want to talk about. So the first one is there is a German bishop who appoints. So Bishop Georg Batzing of Limburg. He's the heretical leader of the Synodal Way, or at least he was. I don't know if someone else was elected or his term expired or however they invented their bylaws, but they like to invent a lot of things. So he invented the office of priest referent, Referent, for the supervision of priests. It is an instrument of necessary personnel management. There's a woman who was appointed, Linda Maria Gall, age 40. She will accompany the clergy in their work and shape feedback processes. This will also include accompanying changes of employment, supporting the retirement transitions and crisis interventions. Okay, well, it is not known what the salary of the job will be, but yeah, it certainly will help vocations to the priesthood, right? Yeah, right. And then the biggest news story, and I haven't even had a chance to let this sink in here, but this is the possibility of invalid bishops or invalid bishop appointments or an anarchy or whatever. Bishop Edward Weisenberger, I talked about him before, he was installed as Archbishop of Detroit on March 18th without a papal bull, reports the blog The Pillar. The Apostolic Nuncio to the United States, Cardinal Christophe Pierre, simply wrote his own decree. The appointment of Weisenberger was announced by the Vatican on February 11th. Shortly thereafter, Francis was admitted to the hospital. So the papal bull is normally required for a bishop to take possession of his new diocese. Pierre said, "I'm sorry because normally I should have shown you the bull that is normally signed by the Holy Father. Unfortunately, as you know, because of his sickness, he was unable to sign it." Pierre said he had prepared a decree of his own. "Don't worry," he said, "it is all legal. I can see that some canon lawyers are already worried. I don't know why." Pierre said he expects the papal bull to arrive later. So yeah, and this is a guy who's going to crush the masses in Detroit. And he was a very big opponent of Trump, and very much and he had a number of pro-LMNOP parishes in his previous diocese, so definitely part of the Francis Network, Francis Church, and an opponent of the Catholic faith. So if his appointment to Detroit was invalid, I'm certainly sure that a lot of people would embrace that. Although I don't think there's a lot of people that are making a whole lot of, what would you say, making a whole lot of clamor about it. But anyway, okay, well, that's a short EVTN news story, and the news cycle's going up and down. There's some news, some not. Who knows? Who knows what the next several weeks and months will look like, but it is the middle of Lent, and make it a good Lent if you haven't already. Still plenty of time until Easter, although at this point I'm kind of counting down the days. We have less than a month until Easter. Today is a feast of the Archangel Raphael. Nope, Archangel Gabriel. Sorry about that correction. fact check, although I fact checked myself right away. And tomorrow is the Feast of the Annunciation. So, certainly a lot of feasts in Lent. Last week there's St. Patrick and St. Joseph feast days. So, lots of, yes, Gabriel, sorry about that. Yes, because Gabriel appeared to Mary for the Annunciation, so Gabriel's feast day was moved um, just prior to the Feast of the Annunciation. So, anyway, that's what it is. Okay. Um, yeah, but I do expect the news to kind of ramp up. Who knows? So now that Francis has moved back into his um, well, he never lived in the actual place where most of the popes lived. He moved to the papal, was it the papal apartments or something? Casa Santa Marta, where it was the guest house, and people try to spin it as a sign of humility, but there's less people tracking who's coming and going there, and some people speculate that that's why he went there. So, but with him moving back there, all media is tightly controlled. All guests are tightly controlled. So, I mean, really, there won't be any guests coming and going. Maybe Parolin's going to try to get in there every once in a while, but does Francis want him in there? Are they on good terms? I mean, they're on good enough terms that Francis didn't fire him like he did to Mueller or some of the others, but I don't know that we'll have a lot of accurate information come out. What we say is the Francis bot. The Francis bot is going to be hard at work. It's issuing documents and passing them off as Francis's, which I'm sure Francis would certainly agree with a lot of evil things anyway. He's already promulgated some terrible errors in documents. So anything that comes out of the Vatican, is it really something that Francis would disagree with? And I would say, well, even if it's women deacons or anything, he'd probably agree with that. You don't you don't authorize the commission. You don't create 3 commissions for women deacons when you know that that's heresy. The idea of women deacons is heresy, and you would create a commission to condemn the idea of the ordination of women. That would be maybe something more along the lines of what a Catholic would do. So, but no. And the LMNOPs and all that stuff, it's just disgusting. Anyway, okay, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. This has been EVTN News. Until next time, we are the laity, and we will not be silent.